Good evening, friends. So, meeting again with the Organon session. Yesterday, there were two sessions we have conducted. The first one, Organon, and followed by a session on the female disorders. So, again, continued with the Organon. In last lecture, we have discussed the concept of homeopathic aggravation as explained by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann in those aphorisms right from 157 onwards. And he has devoted 157, 158, 159, 160, and 161 related with the homeopathic aggravation, out of which the four we have discussed. The concept is very clear. The symptoms which are already present are presented by the patient after giving the homeopathic medicine, generally which is stronger than the natural disease. Those original symptoms of the disease gets aggravated for time being within first few hours after giving the medicine, reacting instantaneously to the first dose of medicine is nothing but called as a homeopathic aggravation. And this homeopathic aggravation is the very good sign, as Hahnemann sir have explained over there, which indicates that your remedy which you have selected is very correct. Because of which we can understand, yes, whatever remedy is working and it is working in a proper way. That's why Hahnemann said that there is no need to repeat those medicines. So very few doses are required in acute because state is quite susceptible. As state is quite susceptible, you don't have to repeat so much. You have to just wait and watch or give the placebo to the patient, and you can find it out that whatever aggravation has happened, it disappears within few hours itself. And this aspect we have learned in detail. One more aphorism related with this homeopathic aggravation is still remaining. We'll continue with the aphorism number 161. When I hear limit the so-called homeopathic aggravation, or rather the primary action of homeopathic medicine, that seems to increase somewhat the symptoms of original disease to the first or few first hours. This is certainly true with respect to diseases of more acute character and of recent origin. But where medicines of long action have to combat a malady of a considerable or of very long standing, where no such apparent increase of original disease ought to appear during the treatment, and it does not so appear if the accurately chosen medicine was given in proper, small, gradually higher doses, each somewhat modified with renewed dynamization. Such increase of original symptoms of the chronic disease can appear only at the end of treatment when the cure is almost or quite finished. So yesterday there was a question from Madhu. She had asked, sir, what about the homeopathic aggravation in chronic diseases? And Hahnemann sir have answered regarding it, that in acute we get this homeopathic aggravation within first few hours. So we can get it very easily within first hour, after 2 hours, 3 hours, because the things are already, susceptibility is already increased, and things, the person is quite sensitive, who catches that stimulus of the artificial disease given by in the form of a medicine, and because of which, because of the stronger artificial disease, the natural disease vanishes and it takes over by the artificial disease, and as it is stronger, it reflects in the form of aggravation of the original symptoms. So this is quite simple in acute cases, but things are rather different when we deal with the chronics. With chronics, generally the disease happens to be a long standing. It takes long time to develop. For example, if hypertension is developing, it is not within a day. It is a tedious process. If diabetes has to happen, it is a tedious process. If rheumatism has to happen, it is tedious process. It is gradually developing. So every chronic disorder gradually develops. Generally, it is a product of low susceptible states, and it never develops within a day. The susceptibility is not that high as which we get in acutes. And when we start giving the homeopathic medicine, here we have to go on gradually increasing the doses. Here you cannot use the high potency as which you can use in acutes. So in acutes, this as the susceptibility is high, the rule which I have told you, if susceptibility is high, potency is high, less repetition. But here the things are exactly opposite. Here the susceptibility is low, potency is low, and it requires gradual increase of potency. You have to go on increasing the potency. So if you are prescribing it in the centesimal, gradually you have to increase from 30 to 200 to 1 m to 10 m, and in such a manner. And at one certain point, when the patient has to cure, at the end where the cure has to happen, at that time there will be slight alteration of the original symptoms again gets increased. That is the time where you get the aggravation. So it is at the end when cure has to happen in chronic disease, the aggravation happens in chronic disease. If you are using, for example, a potency, specifically the LM potency or LM scale, and you started with LM1, LM2, LM3, LM4, and at a certain level, at you reach the LM10 and person immediately get aggravated. It indicates that your medicine now has produced the desired effect. The susceptibility is reached to its optimum level, and now the aggravation has started. It is a time where you have to stop your remedy for time being. You have to observe whether this action disappears after some time. That also he has mentioned how to tackle this homeopathic aggravation, which happens in the latter part when patient has to fever. So all those pros and cons regarding the potency selection, regarding the repetition, which he has cleared over there. And he is very clear that homeopathic aggravation always happens at the after a long time in chronic diseases as compared to the acute, where homeopathic aggravation happens instantaneously. So this is the big difference between the in acutes and chronics regarding the homeopathic aggravation. One should know. Is it clear? So that we can go ahead. Any query regarding this concept? So we can go with 162 and what he says over there. It sometimes happens owing to the moderate number of medicines yet known with respect to their true pure action, but that a portion of the symptoms of the disease under treatment is to be met with in the list of symptoms of most appropriate medicine. Consequently, this imperfect medicinal morbific agent must be employed for the lack of more perfect one. Now, from this aphorism 162 onwards, he explains about the homeopathic management of the case with partial similimum remedy. Right over there, homeopathic treatment with partial similar or partial similimum. Now he deals this question. What he says over there, it sometimes happens. Sometimes, occasionally. Why? Owing to the moderate number of medicines yet known with respect to true pure action. Hahnemann, when he was writing this, there were 99 drugs proved by him, few more by others, and moderate number of medicines were available. But sometimes it used to happen that the case in front of him should not cover the whole total picture of that case in the remedy. So, for example, we'll take a patient is presenting with the 10 symptoms, and remedy is not matching fully to the 10 symptoms. Remedy which is matching is covering only 5 or 6 symptoms in that case. Then what should be done? The question arises. This question arises with everyone's mind. Every new practitioner always suffers from such a thing. The things are rather different than Hahnemann nowadays. During Hahnemannian time, there were 100 to 150 drugs which were proved. Now we have more than 3,000 remedies in our remedy. But only thing is that every time it is not possible to recollect the whole 3000 remedies in mind. So sometimes it happens that you cannot match exactly the totality of the patient with the totality of the medicine. You get a partial similar remedy. For example, you select a remedy on the basis of 6 symptoms out of 10 symptoms. Hahnemann says, if you are getting remedy, at least with 6 symptoms, give that remedy. So this is what he is explaining. Owing to the moderate number of medicines, yet known with respect to their true pure action, that but a portion of symptoms of the disease under the treatment is met with the list of symptoms of the most appropriate medicine. Consequently, this imperfect medicinal morbific agent. So this is not a perfect morbific agent. It is imperfect because it is not covering the whole totality. It is imperfect because patient is presenting 10 symptoms, you are giving medicine which matches only with the 6 symptoms. So this is not called as a perfect similimum. So this is an imperfect similar remedy. What he says, consequently, this imperfect medicinal morbific agent must be employed for lack of more perfect one. You don't have a perfect one, so it is your duty to give whatever you have. You should not leave that case. You should not say, I don't have medicine, so if I will get 100% symptoms, I will treat you. Otherwise, I will not. This should not happen. So he mentions over there, what is needed is to give that remedy, even though it is imperfect, it is partial. So first important thing is that to take the decision to start the treatment. So don't leave that case. This is first important message which Hahnemann wants to give you. Is it clear in your mind? So whatever may be the patient, try your level best to find it out similimum. And even though it is not perfect similimum, you give that remedy. Things, keep it in your mind. It is not possible, even though to the best homeopathic physician, to match in each and every case a perfect remedy. Only thing is that as you go on studying the homeopathy day by day, generally it happens that you go on, when you start doing practice, earlier you get maximum times this partial similimum. As you go on studying homeopathy day by day, you get more and more perfect medicines. But it takes a long period. I'm working with homeopathy since last 32 years. Still I'm getting imperfect similimum many a times. This happens because there is a vast study. Number of medicines which are available, they are vast in numbers, and it is quite difficult task for the human mind to recollect every time each and every remedy. Many times it happens that you get partial similar remedy. Start the treatment. First important thing is that start the treatment with that. How to go ahead, that he explains in next episode. So there is a solution for each question in our. It is not like that there is no solution. You have to start with the treatment. How to go ahead, that Hahnemann explains over there in next aphorism, aphorism number 163. In this case, we cannot indeed expect from this medicine a complete undisturbed cure. For during its use, some symptoms appear which were not previously observable in the disease. Accessory symptoms of not perfectly appropriate remedy. So this remedy, which is partial similar remedy, now you have provided it to that patient. So first probability is that whatever the symptoms are matching, those might disappear. So out of 10, the 6 might disappear. 4 still remains. And there may be another possibility. There are new symptoms which can arise, which are called by him as by the name of accessory symptoms. त्याला हॅनेमन सरांनी नाव काय दिलं? He has given the name of accessory symptoms to them. So see, simple equation now remains. You give the similimum, partial similimum to the patient. So few symptoms which are similar might disappear. Few remains. and then you add, there is an addition of few more symptoms which are called to be a new symptoms because of medicine which you have provided, and that medicine is not perfect Similimum. So new symptoms which are aroused called by the name of accessory symptoms. So what one can do, that also he explained. This does by no means prevent a considerable part of disease, the symptoms of disease that resemble those of medicine, from being eradicated by this medicine, thereby establishing a fair commencement of the cure. But still, this does not take place without those accessory symptoms, which are, however, always moderate when the dose of the medicine is sufficiently minute. So, even though you have given that medicine in a minute dose, these new symptoms have been aroused. Now, the few symptoms, the 6 symptoms have been vanished. Now you have the symptoms which were original, the 4 original symptoms still remaining. Now 3 more added over there called as accessory. Now you have new totality. The totality which is mixed up with the old totality, old remaining totality, plus accessory new symptoms developed because of medicine is equal to new totality in the symptoms. And for that new totality, again you have to find it out. A new Similimum. This is what the answer of this question. Okay, this is simple way of how to handle. And what is says over there? When 6 symptoms disappear, it means the process of cure has been established. Cure has not been completed, but process has already established. So it has started already, but it is not yet complete because it is in the process. And this process happened because of your partial similar remedy. Now he explains how to go ahead with those. So 164 aphorism will read, the small number of homeopathic symptoms present in the best selected medicine is no obstacle to the cure in cases where few medicinal symptoms are chiefly of an uncommon kind and such as are peculiarly distinctive characteristic of disease. The cure takes place under such circumstances without any particular disturbance. One more possibility here is explained. If, for example, if this patient has presented 10 symptoms, out of which the 6 were matching, but all 6 were characteristics. The 4 symptoms, which are vague symptoms, which are not a characteristic. So what will happen? If those 6 were characteristic, then that patient's disease vanished away, even along with the whatever 4 which were not matching with the case. And you can achieve a cure because those were vague symptoms. That is one possibility which can happen. So this is one possibility. If you are giving medicine which covers only partial Similimum, but all those symptoms, if they are characteristic enough, they can cure that whole case, even though there are few symptoms which are not yet matched and which are vague in nature. So this is one more possibility which he is explaining, that there might be a few, there is no addition of new symptoms, and this might be vanished with the first application, even though it is a partial Similimum. This is first possibility which he is explaining over there. And that second possibility, now he explains what he says. If, however, among the symptoms of the remedy selected, there be none that accurately resemble distinctive characteristic, peculiar, uncommon symptoms of the case, and if the remedy correspond to the disease only in the general, vaguely described definite states, nausea, debility, headache, and so forth, and if there be among known medicines none more homeopathically appropriate, in that case, the physician cannot promise himself any immediate favorable results from the employment of these unhomeopathic medicines. So if you are giving the medicine, which is not based upon such a thing which was earlier mentioned in the earlier aphorism, that is on the basis of symptoms which are peculiar, characteristic, or which are uncommon, rare, you don't get such type of totality. So what you try your level best to match whatever the totality is available. And this totality is not made up of such a striking symptom, but based upon the vague symptoms. Then this remedy, which you are going to find it out, is the remedy which becomes a partial similimum or imperfect similimum. So now you have utilized an imperfect similimum or partial similimum to the case. See, now what will happen if you have given the partial similimum? So in the aphorism number 163, he has explained, there might be few symptoms which disappear, few will remain. There will be addition of new symptoms called as accessory symptoms, and now you will have a new totality of the symptoms for your case. So this is the possible thing which can happen because of this. So this is what he explains over there in 166. Such a case is, however, very rare owing to the increased number of medicines whose pure effects are now known, and the bad effects resulting from it, when they do occur, are diminished whenever a subsequent medicine of more accurate resemblance can be selected. What he is saying, these things are now rare because we have ample symptoms available with us, ample remedies available with us. So we can match the totality. But in many cases, we cannot match. And if we cannot match, it becomes a partial similimum or imperfect similimum. And if it becomes a partial similimum, then you have to go ahead with that partial similimum. Then you have to wait for some time. Then you have to see what happens after giving that partial similimum. And that a whole aspect which he has mentioned over there in further aphorism. But that will keep as it is, will not go with that. That we'll learn in tomorrow's session. Because that thing I want to I want to make it clear to everyone. Many times what happens, many students or many new practitioners, they are always in confrontation. What to do? I'm not getting very perfect similimum, and then patient, it takes long time to get the cure, or not. I'm not getting the perfect cure. This is simple thing that you're not going to get perfect cure with first remedy only when you are dealing with the chronics. Acutes, it might be possible, but with chronic, it is not possible. With chronics, it requires time, and chronics, we have to go ahead with the same method. This is called a zigzag cure. You are going to one remedy, then after one remedy, you are going toward the second remedy, then third remedy, and then you can get a cure. Such a thing is quite common in practice. Even I went through all those things, and everyone goes through that. So don't blame yourself that you don't know anything. This happens with everyone. So forget about all those things. Just find it out what solution Dr. Samuel Hahnemann have given. Understand them from the organ of medicine and be confident in prescribing such things. So we'll stop over here, and tomorrow, not on tomorrow, tomorrow is Saturday, we'll meet again on the Monday for the Organon session. So till that period, thank you for attending session. If any query is there, we'll discuss. Otherwise, we'll continue it on Monday.
सर सर समजा आता बऱ्याच केसेस मध्ये आपल्याला माइंड सिम्पटम्स क्लिअर नाही मिळत आणि पॅथॉलॉजी असते त्याच्यात सेटअप झालेली, तर डिपेंडिंग ऑन द पॅथॉलॉजी वेअर द रेमेडी इज ऍक्टिंग, ती रेमेडी देऊन पण आपल्याला क्युअर म्हणजे मिळू शकतो का सर?
First important thing, don't keep it in your mind that every time you're going to get mental symptoms. Generally, when you are dealing with the pathologies, there are very less functional symptoms. When you deal with the purely psychotic case or syphilitic case or psychosyphilitic case, you get very less functional symptoms. Lack of symptoms or paucity of symptom is quite common when pathology is advanced, and that's why Hahnemann have labeled them by the one-sided diseases. Hahnemann labeled those diseases by the name of one-sided because they are having very few symptoms. So here you have to apply same method. Here you are not getting the perfect remedy on the basis of pathology only. Pathology gives you vague remedies. Here you have to understand whole case. Your remedy is based upon the 7 points which are mentioned in the 5th aphorism, how to investigate a fundamental cause. So those 7 points are very much needed when you deal with such types of pathology. And you have to match that remedy, not on the symptoms, but on those points, which indicates the individuality of that human being. Which are those 7 points? ते पक्के डोक्यात करून ठेवायचे. Ascertainable physical constitution, his moral and intellectual character, his occupation, the mode of living and habits. Then he has explained his social and domestic relation, then his age, then his sexual function. These points guides you to reach to the remedy for that individual, not for his disease. And that will guide you towards the right remedy. So this is what you have to look for in chronics. With acutes, it's simple. On the basis of totality, you can reach to the similimum. So is it clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Hmm.
I have a question. Sir, I am dealing with a patient who is taking medicine to increase her weight and also breast size. I have prescribed her subcellular Q for increasing breast and given one number for anemia. And previously, I was not giving her a constitutional remedy, so I was not getting result as it should be. So this time I have taken the case properly and given her Natramur 1M as her constitutional. Then will it help the patient to increase her breast size?
Basically, what you are dealing with is not with the homeopathic aspect. When you are treating such types of cases, this is a cosmetic problem. But giving a sabal cerulata will increase the size of the breast is a wrong aspect of understanding the sabal cerulata. This is not the way with which you can apply the homeopathy. It is not a medicine which will increase the size because it is not given in material doses. Keep it in your mind. Second important thing, all those symptoms which are there, those came from the clinical aspects of it. Then they are not the symptoms of proving. Here, when you have to treat with the constitutional remedy. You have to, because it is a problem related with the constitution and not as a disease. So when you deal with such types of questions, such types of things, you have to deal constitutionally. Then you can think, yes, Natramur might be a similimum. If the patient is Natramur, you can go for it. If patient is iodome, you can go for it. But basically understand why she has the shriveled breast or undeveloped breast. That thing you have to treat. So sabal cerulata will not going to work in such a manner. This is my simple answer to that.
Okay,
You
sir.
have to find it
Let
out
us-
the remedy on the basis of constitution.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So, okay, we'll stop and we'll discontinue.
Hello, sir.
Kiran. Yes.
बद्दल एक क्वेश्चन होता. सर, आपण कालच्या सेमिनार मध्ये जे अनालिसिस टाकले होते की त्याच्यामध्ये आपण पॅथॉलॉजिकल कॉजेस वरती अनालिसिस रुब्रिक्स घेतले होते. तर त्याच्यामध्ये मेंटल्स नव्हते. तर आपण पॅथॉलॉजीच्या बेस वरती तो पेशंट पूर्ण होईल का?
एक सिंपल गोष्ट आहे. मेंटल्स असलेच पाहिजे ही फार महत्वाची गोष्ट म्हणजे डोक्यात बसवत चाललेत लोक. मेंटल्स असलेच पाहिजेत. इट इज नॉट थिंग. Many a times you never get a mentals. You are practicing at a root level. How many patients gives you all the mentals? Second important thing, you must find it out a characteristic. That is more important. The characteristic might be mental, characteristic might be physical, characteristic might be a particular. Why you are keeping fixed idea that you must get a mentors to find it out a remedy? Remedy, you can find it out on the basis of any characteristic particular also. If that is indicating clearly, yes, this is the remedy. We are missing the rest of the chapters from Kant's repertory. Everyone is concentrating only on the first 90 pages of the Kant's repertory, that is the mind. No one is looking toward the others. Why Hahnemann have spent so much of time to find it out, detailed symptomatology and written it down? Then why Kant has taken pain to develop repertory? Because if you get such types of clear characteristics, which on the basis of which if you prescribe, it definitely works. Only thing is that it should cover whole aspect of the case. What I told you in yesterday's lecture, if you would have seen the first slide which I have explained to you, I have written over there, whatever is explained is narration, only the narration prescribable totality. Whole case was considered, which was taken into consideration, but I have shown you the aspect with which you can understand the chapter of female genital system from Kant's repertory. My thought, my message was to enter into the particulars and characteristic particulars, which we are missing nowadays. Many of us are just concentrating on the mind. No one was looking towards the particular details, those characteristic symptoms. And unless and until you get those characteristics, you cannot get a right remedy. So don't make a fixed idea. You should have mentals every time. Yes, if they are very good. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.